So what's going to happen to the physical world if the digital age is so interesting and so human, the things we can do? Is the physical age as interesting? Are we going to get to the point where, and I know I'm here in the furniture building, but are we going to get to the point where this digital age, let's say it ends up here, on my wrist, in the eye, is it going to be so amazingly interesting that nobody will care about this anymore? I think the opposite. I think that in order to balance the immaterial age and the digital age, we're going to have to make objects, products, spaces, retail, malls, theaters, buildings, architecture that's more interesting and more provocative and more beautiful and more radical and more contemporary than ever in order to compete with the digital age. A simple example. In the past 8 years, I have not hardly bought anything from a store. So I buy my clothes on Yoox and Azos and Farfetch and these places. And I buy all my other stuff, all the crap I need for the house, I buy it on Fresh Direct and Amazon and blah, 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 right? So the question is to say, well, what's going to happen to retail? Why go to a store? Seriously, why go to a store? I go to the shop, I look, and I go, oh, that's a nice jacket. Oh, do you have another size? Oh, no, sorry, we don't have another size. Or I come into this, the frustration of actually the experience of shopping is exhausting. I used to love shopping. Love going to stores. I used to love when I go to Paris and go shopping, or I go to Milan and shop. Now, by the way, the world, because it's becoming a singular, homogeneous thing, Paris and London and Moscow and New York, it's all the same stuff. Right? I mean, H&M's all over the world, Zara's all over the world, it's all Chanel's on the world, and Gucci. So, when you travel, you don't need to shop. So the best way to shop is, and pick my size, I pick white, pink, lime, done, large, done. Overnight, box, next morning, open up, try on, I don't like it. That's the world I live in. That's the world we live in. So, imagine if you're an interior designer tomorrow and say, oh, because I'm doing a project right now actually, I'm designing a shop in GUM. So I say, well, I'm making a retail store. What am I going to do? How am I going to get people to walk into that shop? What can I do as a designer that will be competing with that digital age where I can be in a taxi cab shopping? What can I do? And that's the challenge we have if we're designing in the physical world. You could be a virtual designer, right? An interface designer, ID, or a UX designer. But if you're designing for the physical world, what are you going to do? If I make a restaurant, I think about this a lot. Shouldn't a restaurant speak about now? Why? Because the chef, he's interested, or she, in experimenting or doing things that are about now. So then that's the food. So don't you think the plate and the table and the light and the chair and all that stuff and the walls and the finishes should also be symbiotic, synchronized, harmonized with the digital age I live in? I think so. I barely go to a restaurant in the world, barely, where it's not just styled. I'm going to give you an example. So, friends of mine said, oh, we've got to go to this restaurant in Brooklyn, Williamsburg, it's the hottest restaurant. The chef apparently is using local, organic, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And he's experimenting and he's injecting, gas and all that stuff, right? So I go, okay, I'm excited, we'll go. Oh, and they don't take reservations, so you get there, there's a lineup. I go in and I really have high expectations, right? I'm going to have a great dinner. Come in. What am I sitting on? I'm sitting on a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of a Thonet chair from the 1830s. Why? And the Thonet chair is a wooden bar that's projected into my lumbar. Why? Can you imagine? I'm wearing the most comfortable shoes in the world, and I have to sit for 3 hours with a wooden chair in my back. I don't understand this. Number two, when I sit down and I look at the restaurant, it looks like a fake French bistro from turn of the century, from France. Why? I don't understand it for the life of me. I'm confused. And what I realized is that I'm being fooled. I am being taken. It's called Trump Doyle. Fake. Kitsch. It's kitsch. Why? Because it's not authentic. If it was a real restaurant from 19th century, that's one thing. Then you could say, wow, great experience. When I was in Jerusalem, I went into a restaurant that's cut like a cave from, listen to this, from 600 AD. Right? Amazing, huh? 1,400-year-old structure. I can appreciate that. I look at that and I go, wow, it's amazing. But to go to another restaurant and see something that's completely fake is trying to cheat me. It's dishonesty. What is beautiful about the digital age, it's honest. The time we live in now is completely honest. What I mean by that is, if you build a building tomorrow and I make it all glass, and I use even a technology, for example, I'm making a building right now in New York where the glass is also solar, meaning the glass is taking the energy and supplying the energy for the building. New technology, innovation, 2015, architecture. Honest. What's honest is that thin sheet of glass is me and the world. There isn't a fake column and Baroque this and that and that. And the way we used to make architecture, we build it out of huge stone, and then between the stone we build a barrier with insulation, and then insulation we build drywall, and then drywall we make some sort of wallpaper, and then wallpaper and blah blah blah, and all these layers and layers and layers. In other words, layering is dishonest. It's not real. If I go to a hotel and I walk in and I design that hotel for a great experience, so all I think about first as a designer is not the aesthetics, although aesthetics means feeling, by the way, emotional. It's not just visual. But if I think not just about the visual, but about the experience I would have the minute I walk in, when I go in an elevator, when I go in a room, and really design it, you will go to that hotel and have a fantastic, beautiful experience. That's design.